Welcome back to the Morning Show here on the Rise News. We do apologize for that quick break, and we still have with us environmentalist, desert warrior, as he's called by some, Dr. Newton Jibunor. Thank you so much for staying with us.
Thank you.
Before we went on the break, we were talking about desertification, everything around solutions, and you were speaking on that.
Yes. After my first expedition, like I mentioned, I participated in so many mitigating structures to kind of help with the climate change debate. And don't forget that climate change debate started only about 25 years ago. And when that started, the disappearing rainforests in the Amazon and desertification was part, apart from the severe climate situation, the warming of the atmosphere, and the desertification and disappearing rainforests was a major issue. But those that spoke on desertification were doing it from a scientific angle. And for me then, they were not given the right or looking at it from the right perspective. So I decided to join the debate and became a member of the COP, various COP. I went to Copenhagen, I went to Bangkok, I went to so many countries in the world, trying to present a completely different angle to the whole class. Fortunately, it worked because my NGO got accredited by two United Nations bodies, UNEP and UNCCD, the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. Both institutions accredited my NGO, FAID. So, and for me, it was a booster. It was really something that encouraged me. And, but at that time, like I said earlier on, it was 32 years after my first expedition. And I kept saying to myself, do I still have a current? Do I still have the ability? Do I still have the knowledge? So, and that was how I decided to go on a second expedition, this time driving the opposite direction, and that is going from Nigeria to London. Something I didn't mention was that when I planned in 1966, 65, 66, the first expedition, I did everything I could to get somebody to come along with me. I couldn't. Now, from Nigeria to, I went around all over the country looking for an adventurer, somebody, male or female, to come with me, and I couldn't. So I had to do that opposite direction by myself. But as against the first expedition that took me 2 months, this one took only 5 weeks. And of course, I now found the desert to be on a serious march southwards. A lot of the hamlets and settlements that I saw during my first expedition, particularly those that were kind and nice to me, they were all gone. They had all migrated because of desert encroachment. And like I mentioned earlier, when the sand is heated up 150 degrees almost every day, no rain, the sand becomes heavy dust. And sometimes they build up to like 3-story building. And when there is a serious storm, it carries that dunes, and that sand dunes, and can cover buildings, can cover, let alone hamlets. So that was also frightened me, that how do I get this across to the world, to the global community? Fortunately, I had some publicity when I got to London. In fact, CNN came and interviewed me in London and aired the program. Of course, that now catapulted me and my campaign to a new level. But again, for me, that was not enough. because of the scientific, I was scared that somebody will say to me, what qualification do you have in environmental studies or in the science of desertification? So through the Israeli embassy here in Nigeria, and through one of my talks, the ambassador actually approached me and said, look, do you know that we recovered the whole of Israel from the Negev desert, and that what you're talking about and what you're trying to do is what we did in Israel. So there will be need for you to come to Israel and see, and then go to the university where they specialize in this science. So through the ambassador, I applied, and they said to me, all you have to do, they were excited because they also watched my program on CNN. They said, okay, just bring yourself to Israel. We will take responsibility for your accommodation, for your studies, for your whatever. And that was how I went back to Israel.
And doctor, just looking that climate change was an important, documentation of climate change was an important aspect of these expeditions for you. And looking back now, do you think that we understand the emergency of the situation of climate change as a people, as a government, as signatory to the Paris Climate Agreement? And then remembering just how controversial Ruga became, and it still is, because a bill has been sent to the National Assembly, apparently, to commence Ruga. How serious are we?
Well, I don't know if we are serious enough, because I did a piece on that, particularly Ruga. And I mean, I don't mind, if the various communities in the southeast, southwest, south-south are in a position to give up their ancestral lands for colonies, that's entirely up to them. But if we can do that, bearing in mind that as we speak, the desert is still encroaching. So one question that I asked is, and you know, the more you move out of an area because it is being encroached by, and go to the next communities where you have a bit of greenery, the more the desert is encroaching. So if that continues, say in another 50 years, we can have the whole country consumed. Where do you go? You go over the Atlantic. And where do you go? So if they are doing that, but at the same time, doing something serious to resettle, to take back the land. I have, one of the things, when I came back from Israel, I started a pilot project in Dambata area of Kano State. In fact, I went to Kano State through a very good friend of mine, then Emero Kano, who was also equally passionate about the whole advocacy. So with the government taking me to the worst part of Kano that was already being encroached upon, I started a pilot project. And within a few years, I was able to bring back greenery and grazing fields. People that had migrated out of Dambata area came back. And in fact, whenever I visit, if you see the number of pawpaw, pineapple, oranges, mangoes that they will pack and keep for me, because they are now able to farm their land and they are now able to graze their animals. So if, like I said, you can do that and at the same time start a process of, and then you can tell the communities where you are trying to establish the colony that this is a temporary arrangement. As soon as we recover the greenery, the cattle rearers will go back, because the business of animal husbandry is a very profitable business. It is, and the nomadic Fulanis specialize in that. That's their whole life. When they are 5, 6, 7, they are given 5 female cows and 5 male cows. At the time they get into secondary school, they have hundreds of animals because they know how to practice. And my goodness, if a secondary school boy or a university student is having 100, 200 cows just somewhere there. He's not a poor student. If you take the fact that cows are now going for 150, 200,000. So, but the fear then was, or the fear as we speak, is the fact that if they remain there with no greenery, with no water bodies, their whole investment, their whole life investment will go. All their thousands of animals or millions of animals will die. So if you are now coming southwards where you have the greenery and you're bringing the people and the animals down, start a process of restoring and then tell the people that you're coming to, yes, once we restore, we'll go back.
Why do you think it's so difficult to do this?
Well, I think it is, I took it to leadership. Because I went around almost all the 11 states in the north that are affected by desertification to sell my project, to let them know. And when I commissioned my pilot project in Makoda, a lot of them came to see what I did. And they even made speeches to say that they were going to replicate it in their states, but they never did. And I'm talking about 20 years ago.
And you saw this coming 20 years
ago?
ago?
I saw that coming, yes.
One thing is certain, Dr. Newton Jibunor, we'll still have a lot of time, and it's going to be an ongoing thing, you know, talking about this and having conversations like this. I'd like to say a big thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it.